Ranking Member Toomey, I appreciate your holding the hearing today. Secretary Yellen, Chair Powell, thank you for your testimony. Chair Powell, I want to congratulate you on your recent renomination. I look forward to the hearing that's coming up. I also appreciate that we're going to be seeing the Fed's report on the digital dollar soon. We've been long awaiting that. I think it's an opportunity for America to take a real lead in innovation, so thank you for that. Secretary Yellen, I'd like to pose my first question to you. Every move that President Biden has taken so far has seemingly improved Russia and Vladimir Putin's strategic position. From capitulating on the New START treaty's unconditional extension to not fully enforcing mandatory sanctions to halt Nord Stream 2, we see Russia and Putin now with leverage and strength vis-a-vis our partners in Ukraine that they haven't had since the fall of the Soviet Union. Natural gas prices in Europe have been soaring to Putin's benefit. And now, in real time, just like watching a fatal car crash in slow motion, we're seeing Russia build up an unprecedented number of troops on the border of Ukraine. Secretary Yellen, I want to make certain that you have all the authority that you need from Congress to deter and, if necessary, to punish Putin if Russia invades Ukraine. After what happened in 2014, we certainly can't be caught flat-footed again.
We do have authority to impose sanctions. We have imposed sanctions, and the president signed I believe it was in April, a new executive order expanding Treasury's authority to impose sanctions, and we're aware of the troop buildup and I believe have adequate authority to act at least through sanctions.
Madam Secretary, I'm pleased to hear that you have the authorities that you need to pose significant economic and financial pressure. I'm curious to hear what the Biden administration's strategy is to stop this train wreck that appears to be happening at the border of Ukraine.
Well, we're very cognizant of what's happening and are involved in discussions about what the appropriate set of steps will be.
Madam Secretary, with all due respect, I hope that we can talk much more than discussions about real strategy to send a very strong message to Putin. This is the largest buildup that we have seen, again, since the fall of the Soviet Union. They are taking a very aggressive posture there, and I would encourage you to send a strong message to Vladimir Putin that we're capable of, and you have the authority to do what you need to put significant, biting financial pressure on that regime.
Agreed that that's appropriate.
Thank you. Secretary Yellen, I'll turn to another topic that we've discussed before. Back in September, we talked about the leak of confidential taxpayer information to ProPublica that was done in early 2021 for political purposes. You testified then that it's an illegal act, that it's being investigated thoroughly, and there can't be any tolerance for that. You and I agreed on that. So given that testimony, I want to ask you, have the leakers been identified?
There are independent agencies, both within Treasury, the Inspector General, also the FBI and DOJ, that are conducting investigations. We're not privy, nothing has been reported out yet from those investigations that I'm aware of, but I believe those investigations are moving forward.
Well, I take that as no update, but after the Lois Lerner scandal, after the scandal that occurred here in 2021 under this administration's watch, I appreciate the fact that there's an investigation underway, but I would say this: until we have the results of that investigation, until we have true accountability, I cannot imagine how the Biden administration is encouraging what is in effect a 10 times increase in the audit capacity of the IRS when there's no accountability there. This is the D.C. swamp at its best.
Sure. We don't know what the source of the leak of that information was, and I would say it's premature to indicate that it came from the IRS.
Well, I think that that underscores my case. We can't even determine the source of the leak. We know that was IRS information. There's zero accountability. Again, this is the swamp, sure. And I could not encourage, and certainly my constituents can't condone this aspect of the Build Back Better plan that would give even more authority and a tenfold increase in the budget to snoop on more Americans, audit more Americans, and invade our privacy. Thank you.
We have an enormous tax gap. Over the next decade, it's estimated that actual tax collections will be $7 trillion below what's due. And the IRS has been starved of resources over the last decade so that they're not able to conduct meaningful audits of either high-income individuals or complex partnerships or corporations. And that's where most of the tax gap lies. These are very important resources that are needed to make sure that the wealthiest individuals and corporations particularly comply with the tax laws and pay their fair share what's due.
I would just encourage good management here so that we make sure those resources are focused in the direction they should be rather than attacking conservative groups and ordinary Americans and leaking that information to the public. Thank you.
Senator Cortez Masto is recognized from Nevada.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Yellen, Chairman Powell, welcome. Chairman Powell, congratulations on your renomination. I also want to express